This is one of my favorite and most popular topics to talk to advisors about: how to find, develop, and retain next-gen advisor talent. I have 10 minutes and an hour's worth of content, so I'm going to give you my insights in the form of 5 common mistakes I see advisors make when trying to find success with that next-gen advisor hire. The first thing is advisors traditionally have looked for hiring the next them, right? The industry has told advisors, like, you need to find another rainmaker at some point, you need to find an advisor with a book of business. And the reality is it's really, really difficult to do that right now, especially because the next gen advisors, the Gen Z, Gen Y advisors of today aren't, and I'm generalizing here, but there aren't as many rainmaker hunter advisors now as there once were. And there are many reasons for that, and that's for a different video. But this idea that you're going to find someone who's young and green and is going to come in and hit the ground running, business developing and rainmaking, is a sort of myth that we need to let go of. The other thing is, the most important thing an advisor can do right now is not try to find the next them. If they are the rainmaking talent, it's to create capacity for themselves. And so resetting expectations about what you're actually looking for in that next gen advisor is critical. You're not looking for somebody who's going to come in and immediately generate revenue. You're looking for somebody who's going to come in and over the course of the next couple years, create max capacity for you and help you retain and preserve revenue. Even if you were to find another rainmaker to come into the business, that doesn't solve the problem of needing to scale the delivery of advice, right? So you need an advisor who's going to come in, deal with lower tier clients, deliver review meetings, handle the core service that you offer to clients, and create capacity for you to rainmake. So that's the first thing. I've heard a lot of advisors say, we've got this great book of business, there's so much opportunity in it, I just hired an advisor and they're not capitalizing off of this opportunity. And so that leads me to mistake number 2, which is making sure you are setting and really co-creating expectations with the advisor about what success looks like. Most of the time, the advisor hiring has this idea that this superhero next gen advisor is going to come in, and not only are they going to immediately start dealing with lower tier clients, but they're also going to somehow bring in business. And by the way, oftentimes that's never actually articulated to the next gen advisor, and they maybe have a different expectation about what success looks like, and at some point really quickly both parties end up feeling resentful and maybe unsure about why things don't feel like they're working out. So setting expectations is critical, and I mean that in 2 ways. Number 1, setting expectations about what success at the onboarding phase looks like. How will this new next gen advisor know that they are achieving success early on? How do you define success in terms of their integration into the practice? And it's important that you're very, very clear on that. So things like success looks like your ability to articulate value proposition the same way I would. Your ability to create a review meeting agenda for me to send to a lower tier client based on what you learn about us and our practice over the first couple months. So being really, really specific about what those success metrics are to move the person from onboarding to integration into the practice. The second thing is, I talk about this all the time, setting expectations about what success looks like, bigger picture. We can say things like, I want you to build rapport with current clients. I want you to create capacity for me. I want you to bring in new business. What we often don't get to is how you actually do that, number 1, and how you're going to know you're having success. Because some of this stuff is subjective, right? Building rapport with clients, that's an objective, theoretically, we want a new advisor on our team to achieve. But how they know that's actually happening or how that actually happens is sort of subjective and vague. So we want to be really clear about how this person's going to know they're achieving success. let's take that objective. Like, if one thing we want them to achieve is building rapport with clients, well, we can start tracking whether clients are reaching out directly to the new advisor, whether when you CC the next gen advisor on the team, when a client asks a question, are they completely ignoring that, or are they shifting to them because now they've built a level of trust with them? If we're talking about creating capacity for you as one of their objectives, we should be tracking things like whether you are actually able to meet with more A+ clients than you ever were before. We should be tracking things like whether the new advisor is handling all pre-work and follow-up from review meetings for you, because conceivably that's a way in which they're creating capacity. So being really specific on what success looks like, super important. If you're hiring somebody to have them cultivate opportunities within the book of business, simply saying to them, we have a huge book of business and are missing opportunities, is not enough. We need to be very specific about who they're reaching out, who you recommend they reach out to, what's the intel on this household that might be helpful to them, what's the language they should use when they initially talk to them. I mean, hopefully you're doing that handoff, but really giving them almost the paint by numbers on, here's the opportunity, here's what we want you to do, and then here's how you actually attack that opportunity. Really important. So we are reframing the way we're thinking about who we're hiring. We are resetting expectations and setting expectations rather. The third thing is we are willing to play the long game. A lot of advisors ask, how long does it take to know someone's hitting the ground running? And the reality is it takes as long as it takes. Sometimes it takes a shorter amount of time, sometimes it takes a longer amount of time. I tell advisors, you should assume that the first year to 18 months is a wash in terms of cost. Like, don't expect to see an ROI on this hire, especially if it's a younger person in the business. You have to be prepared to put in a tremendous amount of work in terms of allowing that person to go through a phase of shadowing you, then allowing them to go through a phase of practicing skills with you providing feedback, and then finally taking the reins and leading certain initiatives and relationships, again, with you giving a little bit of feedback, less so than the second phase. And so what's more important than the time frame is you and them having a clear understanding of when you know they're graduating to the next level. So I talked earlier about things like language, if they're speaking the same way you are. If after a meeting that they're shadowing you on, you ask them a question like, what part of the conversation with the client resonated the most with you? Or what's one learning you took away from this meeting? Or how would you approach the follow-ups that we have with the client? If the way they answer those coaching questions makes sense and are aligned with how you want them to answer that, that's how you know they're graduating to the next level. So being willing to play the long game. The fourth thing is not ignoring generational differences. Next Gen advisors grew up in a participation trophy, positive reinforcement society and culture. You suck at soccer, you still get a trophy. You post something on social media, you get a million likes. Think about what that's done for a sales culture. We cannot expect people to come in and get no feedback from us, have someone, the way perhaps some of you grew up in the business, breathing down your necks in the branch office and telling you have to hit your numbers or you're out. That doesn't incentivize or motivate the younger generation. It's quite the opposite. Even if they're doing something wrong, we need to point out the one thing they're doing right. And so thinking about that and recognizing that as leaders, we have to be the ones to adjust, because the next generation doesn't know or feel anything different, is critical. The last thing I'll say is always expect the unexpected. I talk to so many advisors right now that have younger advisors on their team, and they thought, this is going to be my successor. And the advisor turns around and says, I love being an advisor, I don't want to be an owner. Especially female advisors, by the way, I'm hearing this and seeing this a lot. I love what I do. I want work-life balance. I want to work with people. I don't necessarily want to take on the risk of buying you out or owning the practice. So being prepared for that as well is really important. All right, folks, I know that was a lot. I hope it was helpful. Let me know how your next gen advisor hire goes. Talk to you soon. Bye.